It's not even. I scare myself sometimes. I'm having some technical difficulties. Are you on there, Chris?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't see you on my live. Okay. People are starting to come on here now. I guess I don't know what I did. Okay, I see you on there.
Okay.
Y'all bear with us just a minute. Me and Chris were on Saturday's live. Me and Chris are having technical difficulties. I don't know why it's happened. Are you coming on my StreamYard or no?
Yeah, I can.
Oh, it don't matter. I just didn't know if I should wait on you.
Oh no, go ahead.
Okay, bye.
Okay.
I guess okay, so I got on StreamYard this morning and Chris and I were on the live. And I was like, why is nobody's here but Diane? Like, what the heck? And then all of a sudden Mary came on. And I was like, where is everybody? And we were on Saturday's live. We were on Saturday's live and I guess I didn't create a StreamYard. God love me. I don't know what. Anyway, I thought I did, but I guess I did Saturdays and didn't realize I didn't do Wednesdays. So just bear with me just a minute. I need to text somebody real quick. Can you please hang on just a minute? It is going to be don't do my hair day again today because I'm not going to do it. The weather it poured down rain yesterday. I think it's supposed to rain again today. And it's like, there's no sense in doing my hair when I'm going to be sweating my butt off doing farm chores and in the rain. So Mary, thank you for telling us we were on Saturday's event. Chris and I did not know we were on. We did not know that we were. Jane, do you do this with your bracelet? Like this? Please bear with me just a minute. I'm really having some problems. Just bear with me just a minute. I have distraction right now. And so when there's distraction, when there's distraction, it's hard to be myself and bear with me just a minute. Okay. I'm going to take my glasses off. I'm sorry I'm distracted. A lot's happened this morning. My brother was caught this morning. My brother is in jail. And I immediately called the lawyer and talked to the lawyer this morning on top of dealing with some other things. And so, like, all this has happened within the last 10 minutes, and my mind is distracted. And then I realize I didn't create a StreamYard, and I'm like, where the crap am I? So I have a lot of distraction right now trying to figure out, okay, let me just take a moment. Let me take a moment. So my brain needs to just take a moment. But I'm going to tell you that the lawyer is going to meet my brother on Friday. I need y'all to do some serious praying. I need y'all to do some serious praying. Now, he will not be out of jail, so he can't bond himself out because there's no bond. But I need y'all to really pray for my family, for the sale of Larry's house. There's just a lot going on. So if you will please do that for me, and also just give me a minute to unwind for just a second, because okay, I'm going to try to refocus my brain. You know how, like, sometimes when your brain is like this and you're going through situations, and you know how, like, when your brain is like this and you're going through something and you try to explain what's going on, you explain what's going on and you say what's going on, but it's so much deeper than what you're saying. Does that even make sense? Okay, a lot of things that I say doesn't make sense, so therefore I have to give you an example of what I'm talking about. Okay? Because if you don't like, if you don't have problems with depression or anxiety or chaos in your family, like if your family's just perfect and you don't have just chaos, it's hard for you to understand what I'm talking about. But if you struggle with anxiety and depression and chaos, you probably get what I'm talking about. But sometimes when you're trying to explain yourself and you have multiple things in your brain, when you're trying to explain yourself, only one part comes out of your mouth because you think in that moment that's the problem. But what happens is when you pause and stop and break something down, you realize that it's so much deeper than what's coming out of your mouth. For example, like when I sit here and say, oh my gosh, my mind's just distracted right now. And I'm telling you, like, it's just distracted, but like there's like 10 things in my brain at one time, and all that can come out of my mouth is I'm distracted. And it's like, it's hard to like break it down because there's so much bull crap in my brain right now that it's confusing. And I'm probably making absolutely zero sense. But if you struggle with 10 things in your brain at one time, you probably get me. So I was talking to a friend of mine this morning, and she had made a post, and I was reading her post, and her post was quite long, and I was reading her message, and what was coming out of her mouth was the truth. I'll just say it. So she was having some trouble with her child, and she was saying what was going on with her child. And when I was reading them, I was thinking in my head, oh, it's so much deeper than just that. There's so much bullcrap, because her life kind of reminds me of mine, because like She's dealing with declining parents. She's dealing with a child that's disabled. She's dealing with not being able to work because she has a disabled child. And she's dealing with having to get this disabled child to appointments. And like in her brain is just, I sit there and read it and I'm like, oh, girlfriend, get ya. I get ya. And it's like, there's so much more deeper problems than just her child with disability. But like what comes out of her mouth is, I have a child that's disabled and I'm having trouble. But when you look at the big picture and you break things down, it's like it's so much deeper than a child with disability. Because that mom is having to deal with parents declining, her and her husband trying to figure out a new way of life because no one has a child expecting a disability. And no one gives you a written instruction book on how to deal with your child with a disability. I know me with my children, I can remember when I was pregnant. Do y'all remember that book, What to Expect When You Were Expecting? You know what I'm talking about? I was one of those, I was a new mom and I was like reading What to Expect When You're Expecting. And because, you're so excited about being pregnant and all this stuff. And so, you can't wait to go to the birthing classes, when you're pregnant for the first time and you go to the birthing classes, you and your husband, and everything's so exciting, like learning all the new things, how to look for labor, what happens when you lose your mucus plug, when to call the doctor, when the baby moves, when you hear the heartbeat for the first time, like all those things when you're pregnant for the first time, the things that you don't know. And they try to prepare you for what's about to happen. And I went through the birthing classes and it was, like I said, it was exciting. Well, they touched on the fact that about a C-section. But see, I'm like every other person in the world, and it ain't gonna happen to me, right? Like, I don't need to really pay attention to that because it ain't gonna happen to me. Like, my pregnancy's going great, and like I've not had any difficulties, I've not had any problems. So like I don't really have to, I don't know. I was focusing on being so excited about being pregnant that I didn't think about the complications of pregnancy because I didn't have any complications and that wasn't going to happen to me. You get me? And so then it came to the point where I go into labor and I go into the delivery room and I started having complications during labor. And what was happening, they weren't telling me what was happening because they didn't want to stress me out. But this is what I was seeing. I'm laying in the bed, I'm having contractions, and the nurse walks in, and then she walks out. And then 2 nurses walk in, and then they walk out. And then there's 3, and then there's 4, and then there's the doctor. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, what is there something going on? And they said, Judy, your baby's heart rate is dropping, and we're going to have to do an emergency C-section. And I went, oh. I was like, and I didn't even have time to ask any questions. They were rolling my bed into surgery like as fast as they could. And I could not breathe because I had no idea what was going on. I just knew I was going for emergency C-section. Next thing I know, they're strapping my daggum arms down, because when you have an emergency C-section, I don't know if it's all C-sections, but for me, they strapped my wrist so I couldn't come up, and I was laying flat. And I thought in my head, oh, dear Jesus, I didn't pay attention during class on the C-section part. I have no idea what's about to happen because I didn't think it was going to happen to me. You know, didn't think it was going to happen to me. And I remember feeling like all this pressure, and I felt scared, and I felt like I felt like I was going to vomit, and I couldn't raise up to vomit because they had me strapped down. So all I could do is, and I was thinking, I'm about to choke on my vomit. And I had to turn my head to the side. And basically, to make a long story short, Vanson's heart rate was dropping. Vance's heart rate was dropping, and the umbilical cord was wrapped around Vanson's neck. And if they didn't move fast, Vanson was going to die. And so everything happened so quickly that I didn't have time to think. And that is exactly what happened to me this morning. I did not have time to think, and everything was coming at me. And I'm like, oh my God, my brother just got in jail. Oh my God, I got to go live. Oh my gosh, I'm having this talk with my friend. And and then Larry's texting me, oh, Judy, I need to go to the bathroom. And I'm like, I can't breathe. I felt as though I was strapped down, about to have a C-section, and everything was coming at me. And the only thing that was coming out of my mouth was, I didn't do my StreamYard. I didn't connect my live, and I felt so confused. And sometimes when there is so much going in our brain at one time, it's hard to process and go, what's wrong with you? What is wrong with you? And there are so many times that I have to just go, Judy, what is wrong with you? You know how, like, sometimes you wake up and you're distracted, or sometimes you wake up and you're just in tears, or sometimes you go to bed and you can't sleep because your mind is racing, or sometimes and then when people say to you, what's wrong with you? And I tell you what's wrong with me over what's on the top of my brain. I might say, if you say, Judy, what is wrong with you? I might say, well, Larry is texting me at 4:45 in the morning that he needs to go to the bathroom, and I'm trying to sleep, and I'm trying to get up, and I'm trying to, oh my gosh. And I just start talking, but is that what's really wrong with me? No, that is not what's wrong with me. And sometimes I need someone to go, hey, Jackleg, that's not what's wrong with you. That is not what's wrong with you. It is so much deeper than what you're saying. But when there's 15 things in your brain at the same time, it's hard to pick and choose one thing that's wrong with you. So what you end up doing is you just say what's on the top of your head. You might say, well, it's so hard, trying to deal with a dad that's declining. And then you, as the other person that's asking me, you're like, oh, I can imagine how hard it is. And you think that's what's wrong with me. You think I'm stressed out because I'm managing a declining dad. And really, that's not what's wrong with me. And the only way to really know what's wrong is to slow the brain down and break it down and go, Larry, it ain't Larry that's bothering you. What's bothering you? And sometimes you find yourself, what's bothering you is something that's happened a week ago, and you haven't let go of it. And you're blaming it on someone else. Oh, she did this. She did that. He did that. This is what happened. And you're like, okay, it has nothing to do with Shane. Shane didn't do anything. What's bothering me is what happened a week ago that I haven't processed yet. And the only way to get to that point is to slow your brain down and go, what the flip is wrong with you? And you know how I talk about being the best version of yourself? When there is toxic things being put inside your body, there is distraction in your brain cells. In other words, if you self-medicate and you drink or you use something to if you use something besides God, meditation, calming yourself, using the right tools to calm your butt down, and you're like, I'm going to self-medicate and I'm going to drink, or I'm going to take a couple of these pills to calm me down, or I'm going to just wallow in my sorrow and get myself so drunk that I go to bed so I don't think about things. Those are toxic things that go inside the body to soothe the soul. There's a reason you do what you do. And a lot of times, self-medication is not necessarily something toxic as in alcohol or drugs. Sometimes self-medicating is getting yourself in the bed and sleeping all day long for days. That's self-medicating. That's toxic. Sometimes letting toxic people into your life can be I'm trying to think how I want to say all this. Let me think about it. I run after recovery every day. I do. I have learned most of my life has been broken. And it's not because everything happened to me. My ex-husband did this to me. My mom did this to me. A lot of people get stuck in being the victim. I'm the victim. People treated me awful, awful. Sometimes people get stuck in being the victim. That is not being the best version of yourself. Being the best version of yourself is when you are mature enough to look within and go, what did I do? What can I control? Now, sometimes, like I could sit here and tell you, I could say this. I could say, y'all, I have been married 4 times. And my first husband was a drug addict. It was awful. We were married 11 months. As a matter of fact, he ended up dying. My first husband died of a drug overdose. I could be the victim. Poor Judy. Her husband was a drug addict. And then I can say, my second husband, I thought was going to be the love of my life, the most perfect dad, the most Christian marriage. Everything is perfect. And we got a divorce because I could sit here and say this to you because he couldn't keep a job. To this day, he's a train wreck. And you could go, poor Judy. She was the breadwinner of the family. She didn't have support from her husband. She is an entrepreneur and he was dragging her down. And I could sit here and tell you that I'm the victim. I am the victim of number 2 marriage being a train wreck. And let's move on to number 3. I got married, the love of my life, married for 15 years, beautiful family. He had severe OCD. Severe. Oh, poor Judy. She lived in crap. Poor Judy. She lived in bull crap. He made her, if she went and got her hair cut, he would take money out of the grocery bill because she got a haircut and her kids couldn't eat. Judy's the victim. God love her. She's the victim. So I was the victim in the first marriage. I was a victim in the second marriage. And I was a victim in the third marriage. Poor Judy. God love her. She hadn't had a strong man in her life. God love her. She's been through so much. First husband was a drug addict. Second husband couldn't keep a job. The third husband was freaking mental. God love her. Okay, stop. You know how people love to be the victim? And when someone's the victim, they always want to tell their side of the story. I need to tell you the truth. I need to tell you the truth. You need to hear the truth. So if I'm the victim, I'm going to say, y'all need to hear my side of the story. You need to hear my side. You need to hear my side of the story, okay? Because my first husband was a drug addict. He would come home from work messed up. Oh, let me tell you what he did. I'm the victim. I need to tell my side of the story. Okay? When you are the best version of yourself, I'm not saying that you're not the victim, but there comes a time where there comes a time where you don't have to tell your side of the story. And the reason you don't have to tell your side of the story is because you play ownership in it. So I could sit here and play the victim card of my marriages, or I can sit here and go, okay, now I've told you what a train wreck they were, but I neglected to tell you what a train wreck I am. Because we don't like to tell our part. We like to be the victim. It's so funny when I go live because I kind of try to get in my head what I want to talk about. And then I get here and it's like something totally different. And part of me goes, is that God putting something else on my heart? But honestly, I think it's a combination of things. I think it's a combination of it's things that I go through. The purpose of my life is not to tell you all my problems, or not to put myself on a high pedestal and go, look at me, I'm so, healed with the name of Jesus, like I'm so good. That's not the purpose of this live. The purpose of this live is to talk about real life situations that I go through and how I got to where I am today. Because my self-medicate, I've got powder all over my hoodie. My self-medication has never been drugs and alcohol. My self-medication is the sleep. And I would sleep forever. I told y'all there was a time where I went to bed at 6 o'clock every single night when my kids were young. I couldn't function. I couldn't function. And I'm having a hard time with this live, just to let y'all know. Sometimes when you're a content creator, people look for you to do something wrong. It's almost like, like politics. People are looking for a politician to do something wrong so they can bash them. He said this. Why would you vote for him? He said this. She said this. Why would you vote for her? Blah, 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 blah. And sometimes, like, when you're a content creator and you have a following, people look for you to mess up. And guess what? You don't have to look for it. I do mess up. I don't claim to be perfect. I don't claim to handle every situation right. I don't claim to always practice what I preach. I'm a sinner. I screw up. I'm I'm a human being. Just because I have a following doesn't mean that I think that I'm perfect, because I'm far from perfect, which is why I go live and talk about the things that I go through, is because, a lot of times I'm a screw up. But I will tell you that part of being the best version of myself is sometimes when there's chaos, I have to get out of it. I have to just flee myself from it, because it's a distraction and it robs me of my happiness. And if something's toxic, I'm not going to stick around. I've come too far in my life to get where I am. And I feel like I'm too old for toxic things. That's not who I'm about. I'm not about chaos. There was a time in my life where I sort of thrived off chaos because my life was so chaotic that like I didn't know any different because it was so chaotic. But part of being the best version of yourself is to go, in the Bible, have y'all ever read Job in the Bible? Job was a very wealthy man, and he had a large family, and he had lots of land, and he had so many good things going for him. And basically, to make a long story short, God took everything away from him: his family, his land, his money, everything. God took every bit of it away. And Job still served God. And oftentimes, I stop myself and say, if God took Shane away from me, or if God took Sneed's farmhouse away from me, or if I woke up one morning and all my social media got hacked, what would I do? Would I be okay? Would I still serve God? What would I do? If God took every one of my animals away from me, would I be bitter? Would I be mad? Or would I still be like Job and know that things are happening for a reason? There was a time in my life where I would have been bitter. Like when my mother passed away, I was bitter. Actually, I was bitter when she had her stroke, because I was in my 20s when my mother had her stroke. So I was young. I had young children. I was looking forward to, my mom getting my children and being a grandmother, and all that was taken away from me like that. And I grieved and I was bitter for a long, long time. As a matter of fact, I could remember saying, why did this happen to my mom? Why is my mom the one who's had a stroke and is bedridden when my dad was a sorry SOB his whole life? Like my dad was not involved in my life at all. As a matter of fact, oftentimes Shane's like, did your dad teach you anything? Like, did you know anything? And I'm like, all my dad taught me was to run after money. That's why I'm so janked up. All of us are janked up when it comes to a dollar bill. And it's because my dad would run after, his happiness was how much money he made. His happiness was not spending time with us, although he did take us, there was times when he took us to Disney World, so it wasn't like he was just like not involved in our lives at all, but we stressed him out. Like as kids, like he couldn't handle us. But it's because my dad was an alcoholic. My dad, drank his blues away. He was an alcoholic my whole life. And he couldn't come to nighttime functions because that's his drinking time. You ain't messing up his drinking time. That's his drinking time. And if you're that person, you should think about it. Because I'm telling you that your eyes, people that are around you, they know that. Well, dad can't get out because it's his drinking time. And I remember being bitter about, well, why would God take my mom's ability to walk? Why would mom take all that away when dad's over here a train wreck? Dad's an alcoholic, just not involved in our lives. Mom's totally involved in our lives. Mom's all about taking care of us. And God makes my mom have a stroke and not my dad. And I was bitter for a long, 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 long time. And I was bitter until my dad passed away. And then I was like, this sucks. Like, I sit here and wish that my dad had a stroke and not my mom, and now my dad's gone too, and it's just terrible. This is terrible. And I think that when we think about being the best version of ourselves, we have to think, if your spouse got taken away from you today, would you be okay? If you lost your farm, would you be okay? If you lost, I don't know, like, if you lost all your money, would you survive? Or would you just lay down and be miserable? Or would you go, okay, I just lost all my money in the stock market, so now it's time to pick myself up. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? Am I going to lay here and cry, or am I going to figure out what to do? Like, are you a survivor? That's it. Are you a survivor? Or are you the person that is so dependent of people that you have to be around people, or you have to have your spouse right there? He does everything. He pays the bills. She does all the cooking and the cleaning, and like, I can't live without her. Like, are you that person? Because if you're that person and are not independent and not the best version of yourself, you're going to find yourself in left field when it happens. And I'm not saying that if God took my farm away from me, that I'm not going to mourn. If Leroy Brown was taken from me, I would just be devastated. But I do know that I'm well enough to know that I've overcome a lot in my life. I have. And I'm a very strong person. And I know that I've ran after recovery. I've had to push things out of my life to run after recovery. And sometimes it seems like I'm a terrible person. I am just not the person that I am online. I'm not who I say I am. I'm not. I'm not the Aunt Judy that I say I am. I get that. And sometimes being the best version of yourself, you have to get rid of distractions that pull you down. And there's a lot that I tolerate. And there's a lot that I don't tolerate. And I do things for a reason. And I will tell you that every situation that I've ever been in my life, I don't do it immediately. But at some point, I stop and pause and break it down and go, but what did you do, Judy? Okay, this situation happened, but what the crap did you do? What did you do wrong to put yourself in this situation? Why did you allow toxic people to come into your life? Why do you allow your brain to go here? Or why do you obsess about this? What is going on with you? I am well enough and had enough therapy under my belt to break it down and go, what is your ownership? Because anytime you're in a situation, you have ownership. Just like me talking about my marriages. Oh, they were a train wreck. Oh, no, y'all. I was the train wreck. I mean, although everything that I told you about my marriages was the truth, but I didn't tell you my part because people don't tell their part. They say, oh, you need to hear the truth. You need to hear the truth from my end. Why do we do that? Why do we feel like we need to tell the truth? I've been a victim of that. I am. I am not lying. I sometimes feel like I need to tell my part. I do. Why do we do that? Why do we need to tell our part? Why? Why do I need to tell my part? I have to think about it a minute. Why do I need to tell my part? Maybe because someone's making us look bad? And you're like, oh, she only told her side of the story. There's two sides to the story. Every one of us know that. When someone tells you something, there's two sides to a story. There's my side and her side, or my side and his side, right? There's two sides to a story. And truth be known, you're both wrong. I mean, truth be known, at the end of the day, there's ownership in both of you. But not always are people mature enough to go, oh, I have ownership in this. I have ownership in this. And I think part of being the best version of yourself is practicing. Doesn't mean you're perfect, but practicing going, I don't need to tell my part. I just need to be myself. Because you know how they talk about karma, let's think about it, y'all. Do we really need to tell our part? But as human beings, we feel like we need to. Because people make us look bad, or people don't tell the truth, and you know what I love to do to Shane? Bless his heart. When Shane starts like yelling at me for something, I love to go, what's your ownership? And that's a foreign language to him. He don't even know what that means. He's had no counseling. He has no clue what that means. But I'm like, dude, what's your ownership in this? Is it all me? Do you have any ownership? But you know what happens is when I stop and pause and go tell Shane my ownership, he automatically tells me his ownership. If we're in a fight and he is like ripping me a new one, and I bash him back, go, well, let me tell you, you son of a gun, you did this and this and this, and he said you did this, and it's just a battle. But when you let him run his diarrhea mouth, that he has almost daily, let him have diarrhea of the mouth, and just sit there and take it like a man, okay? And I take it and I'm listening to what he says. And when I shut my mouth and I don't fire back and I sit down and I pause and go, okay, what is my ownership in this? Do I have any ownership in this? Okay. Well, first of all, Jack Leg, you're the one who made the choice to marry his butt. Okay. So you knew how he was before. I mean, I have to talk to myself, like talking to yourself and talking yourself through things help you. So when he has diarrhea of the mouth, and I don't, and most of the time I open my mouth and I fire back and I have diarrhea of the mouth back. Okay. Most of the time. But when I'm mature enough to go, just shut up, Judy. Just shut. And there's times where, because he makes you so mad, and I'm like, just shut up, Judy. Just shut, Judy. And I'm saying it out loud. Judy, he has no clue what he's talking about. Just shut up and sit down and don't say a word. And I'm saying that out loud so that Jack Leg can hear me. And he's just going at it. But if I wouldn't do that, and I would just shut my lips and sit down and just look at him, and I say, Shane, I have some ownership in this. And the ownership is that your feelings are valid. You're correct. I get in trouble for this all the time. The top to my bottles, I leave them everywhere. Okay, I do. I'm guilty. You will find them in the yard. You will find them in the side by side. You will find them in the house, everywhere. And he flips his lid when he sees one of these. Okay. And so then he has diarrhea of the mouth. And I'm over here going, I can't help it. Look, dude, this is who you married. I leave bottle caps. If the worst thing that I do is leave a bottle cap on the counter, dear Jesus, I am a train wreck. Okay? like get over it. You know what I'm saying? But when I stop and go, okay, let him just yell at me. Okay, Judy, what is your ownership? Now that he has chewed you a new one and you didn't fire back, sit here for a minute and what is your ownership? Okay. He is correct. These were everywhere. Everywhere. He is correct. So what can I do? What can I do as his wife to not have bottle caps everywhere? I need to be more conscious about putting these darn things in the trash can. Okay. So then I go to him and say, hey, look, my ownership in this is you're correct. I leave bottle caps everywhere. I am a straight up Jack Leg. Okay. I am going to do my best. I'm not perfect, but I'm going to do my best to try to put the bottle caps in the garbage. But I need you to bear with me because it is a habit to throw these everywhere. Okay. It's a habit. And it's going to take 18 days for me to break a habit. Okay. Studies have been shown. It's going to take 18 days for me to throw these away and get in a habit. Okay. So I need you to bear with me for 18 days while I go through this transition. Okay. So, and when I say that back to him, you're right. You're right. I have bottle caps everywhere. He calms down. And I'm sorry I said it. I'm so sorry, Judy, that I said it that way. And when I show my ownership, he's kind and he shows his ownership of going, I shouldn't have yelled at you. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I yell at you, but Judy, the bottle caps are all over the freaking place. But when someone shows their ownership and shows kindness, it's almost like it's contagious. But when we think we have to go tell our story, or we think we have to fire back, Or we think, oh, he ain't talking me that way. Oh, he hadn't. Wait till I'm fit to rip him a new one. He gets louder and meaner. I've learned that about Shane. He don't calm his butt down. When I go off, he goes off even louder. And what can I control? I can control myself. So I have learned when someone has that type of personality, the last thing you need to know, the last thing you need to do is to fire back, because he's not going to calm down. Where I'm not a mad person, I'm not one to blow my gasket. Shane is. So the best thing I can do is just stay calm. I don't always practice that. I don't. I flip my lid back at him a lot of times because I want to stand up for myself. But I've learned being the best version of myself is to be calm. Because when I'm calm, I can think rationally. I can. And a lot of times when we feel like other people are not like us, let's just say, we don't understand them. You know, we don't. Have I made any? I say I start talking and then I'm like all over the map. I don't know if have y'all followed me. This conversation started with a lot of distraction. A lot of distraction. But you know what? I think I've handled it like a champ, to be honest. It's been difficult. This is probably one of the most difficult lives I've ever done in my life. And I know y'all are sitting there on the sidelines going, what's so difficult? Just know that it's been difficult. And just know that I'm doing my best. If you do not understand a word I said today, well, guess what? I didn't either. So we're in this together. But let me just tell you this. Part of dancing is striving every day to be the best version of yourself, even when there's distractions, even when there's people firing back at you. Part of dancing is staying calm, breaking things down, and finding your own ownership. And I think that being the best version of yourself is not being perfect. Perfect doesn't exist. We're going to screw up. You know, we are. But where you screw up is when you continue to do it over and over and over again. And that's called insane. When you are trying to accomplish something and you're getting the same results, that is insanity. But like when you're going down a path, I remember telling my son this. When he was going through hard times, he would go through hard times and then he'd fall completely on his face. And then he would try to stand up and he would try to fix the things that he was struggling with. He would try to fix it the same way. And I'm like, when you stand up and you try to fix it the same way, did it work last time? No, it didn't. So you need to try something new and stand up until it works. You're going to fall down again, figure out how to get back up and stand up, try something new and do it, change your ways. But if you keep, it's like this. It's like a person with addiction. Okay, let's just say a person with addiction. A person with addiction falls flat on their face. They go to jail, let's just say. And they go to rehab. And they get out of rehab and they fall again. And they're like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry I did it again. They stand back up. They get back into rehab. They do it again. They fall again. And they're repeating the same behavior over and over and over. And it's like, dude, how many times do you have to go to rehab to recover? You know how many times? As many times as it takes. That's how many times. Because every time you go, you learn something new. You learn something new about yourself, and you learn something new about your addiction. You learn something new about your disease, and you learn that you have to do different things. And people with addiction, they fool themselves. What happens, and they're like, okay, I've seen it so many times. Okay, listen, I'm not bad. I don't shoot up. I just take pills. I'm not bad. No one knows. I take pain pills and no one knows. I'm not affecting no one. I go to work every day. I'm a functioning addict and no one knows. Therefore, I am not in addiction. Okay? No one knows. I take these pills. It's not a big deal. I go to work. I'm a great wife. I'm a great mother. I'm a great grandmother. And no one sees it. Really? No one sees it. And then you fall on your face. Let's just say that you get busted by work. They do a pee test. And you're like, they just caught on that I'm taking pain pills, but I'm not a bad person. I go to work every day. I'm a grandmother. I'm not a terrible person. I've never been to jail. I've never been arrested. And they fall on their face. And they lose their job. And then it's in lights. She got fired. She failed the drug test. But then you don't tell anybody you failed the drug test. You make up this long story of why you lost your job. They did you wrong. They did you wrong. Let me just tell you what my job did to me. There's no ownership. And it just keeps going. Until you have to come to the realization that you have a problem. And once you realize you have a problem, well, then there is the fact that you have to admit you have a problem. And just like you learn in AA, the day that you admit you have a problem is the day you start your healing. Is to go, I'm jacked up. I've been living in this quiet place for a long time, and it's time for me to get healing. I want to be the best version of myself. I want to be the best wife, the best grandmother, the best mother that I can be, and I'm not being, because I am pushing this addiction. I'm hiding this addiction because I have so much pain bottled up inside me because I have been through bull crap my whole entire life. Instead of dealing with the problem, you take a pill. Okay, what's the best version of yourself? Is that the best you are? Is to hide? Is that the best version? Is that the best version of yourself? Mm-mm. You're better than that. And it doesn't mean that you have to admit it to your entire family. You can heal in silence. They didn't know you were on pain pills to begin with. So why do you have to admit it? So go to the doctor and go, my family doesn't know, but I'm addicted to pain pills. And I need help. And I don't want to tell them. I want to get healing on my own. I need to admit it to you. Where do I begin? And that's the first day of recovery. It doesn't mean you have to expose all your bullcrap to your entire family. Admitting it to yourself is your first step in recovery. And if you fall and relapse, when you get back up, try something new. What does that new look like? I don't know. That's something that you and your counselor can work on. Going, okay, it didn't work. Okay, I tried to do this and it didn't work. The addiction was just there. I'm craving it. Addiction, recovery, and depression, anxiety, addiction, whatever, it's a daily walk. It's a daily decision to get up and make a good choice in life. It is not like, bam, I'm healed. I never had a craving again a day in my life. It is a daily walk. It is a daily decision. It's a daily decision for me to get up and make good choices in my life. Because every flipping day, I wake up and go, I can't do this today. I don't know what to do. Every single day. But I will tell you, it gets easier and easier because there was a day where I didn't have the strength to make the right decision. Today, even though it is there every day, I have the strength to make a good decision and go, Judy, you have a choice. Today is Wednesday. You have a choice. You can sit it out or you can dance. What you gonna do today? There's people looking at you. There's people that need you. So what are you going to do? You just going to fall? Or are you going to get your butt up and you're going to get on this live and you're going to be distracted, but it's going to be okay? It's a choice. It's a choice that I make. It's a daily walk. But I will tell you that I can't do it without God. Everything that you see in my farm, Sneed's Farmhouse, was not started by me. I've never wanted a chicken a day in my life. Do I ever thought that I would get on social media to people that I have no clue who they are and tell them what a train wreck I am? Do you think that's easy? No, it's a choice. I'm like, maybe if I tell my story, maybe I can help someone else, because I'm sure there's people out there just like me that struggle, that need to tell their side of the story, that wake up in confusion, to wake up in depression, and wake up wanting addiction and all these things. I can't be the only one. But God gives me the strength every single time to get up here and tell my story. So I hope that you can see God through me, and I hope that God's speaking to you that need to be spoke to today. So remember, today is Wednesday and hump day, and you have the choice. You can keep doing what you're doing and go down that dark path, or you can make the change today and try something new and put on the right shoes. I'm here for you. I'm here to encourage you. I'm here. I'm dedicated. I'm here every Monday and Wednesday. Most of the time, I'm here. And I'm here for you. I'm here to tell you that you're not alone. I love you. I'll see y'all next week. Bye.